This video is for adults only. It is not child friendly. If you are a child of any age, please exit this video immediately. If you are a minor, exit immediately. If you are an adult, continue, but read the disclaimer in the description box below this video on YouTube. Thank you. Okay, in this video, well, first of all, remember, this video is for adults only. If you are not an adult, exit immediately. Okay, pardon the blinker. I want to start this one off by talking about, telling a story about my maternal grandmother, who was born, just for the record, in 1902 in the United States. Imagine what was going on in 1902. Yeah. Imagine what was going on by the time that she became an adult, 18 years old. Think about it. Now, she was a daughter. I think the family had something close to 15 children. And in fact, they were kind of rural. They were wealthy. They had owned a lot of land, from what I understand, from what I heard. But they were so kind of rural-like that they ran out of names to name their children, okay, that they knew of. So they would name the middle name of one as the first name of the other, and then, switch them, basically. The first name, middle name, then the middle name, first name for the next one, depending on, which sex it was. And anyway, she was unusual in her family. She left the family, she became a nurse, and then she actually did something that was totally taboo back then. She married a man who was younger than she by 4 whole years. That was taboo. Telling the story as I was told. I remember. Thank you for all the noise. But, so she was a nurse. That's very important to this story. And at some point, I think when she was in her early 30s, as a nurse, she decided to report something that had happened to 2 young girls, I think around age 5, to the authorities. Now, these days, I'm not quite sure. How much can I say about that? Yeah. I should be able to say what she reported. She was a nurse. Okay. And she reported this. What had happened to these children by an adult male. Okay, not family. Not family. And she reported it, and as a nurse would, she eventually, through the court, different things, back then this kind of stuff wasn't talked about. So she wound up being put in an asylum because they said she was paranoid. Okay, because that kind of thing just did not happen. So she was obviously paranoid. Think about this, a nurse. Yeah, a nurse would listen to the children and, maybe do an examination and find out the truth. So she reported it to the authorities, the truth. But she was paranoid, so she was put in an asylum. After that, her voice was kind of rather silenced. Okay, this is just one story I could tell about people, people's voices being silenced in my family. Just one of many. And she became quite the hermit. She really did. And but let's move on from that. I do know this kind of information is out there. Thank goodness how much people understand about it and they know about it and so forth. Because, we became less and less silenced. But these days I worry that we were becoming more and more silenced again. And it could be that some things that happen are not intentionally said that way, but it is a result of that. But let me ask some, like I said, let's move on. Let me ask some questions. And I have a video, I don't know if I'll make it public, but I did ask this question, which I know the answer to. As a sociologist with a master's degree in sociology, yes, I do know the answer to this. And quite a few of these. Okay, who in the United States, this is about adults in the United States, unless otherwise stated, who as an adult earns less money? Could we say women? I think we all know the truth to that. Yes, they do. Okay, so, pardon the noise, but there's a reason for it. Background noise. But, so, can we assume from that since we do know that women statistically earn less than men in the United States, I think some say 79 cents to the dollar as much as, and from what I recall, it's always been pretty much the same, between 69 and 71%. Until more recent years, it's been stated otherwise. But since the 50s, 1950s. Okay, so can we assume from that therefore women would be less likely to be able to afford a lawyer? That might be an assumption. We need some research on that, some scholarly research done, and statistics from it. So let's just say that it is true. So if women want to, for whatever reason they need a lawyer, maybe everything they do, online perhaps, where would they get the money? They would need help from somebody. Who would be most, what can we assume? Who would be the most capable of doing that without them going in debt, like borrowing the money from a bank or something like that? Still, they would need permission. We might be making a lot of assumptions, but I'm thinking they're pretty much on the money. And speaking of money, back to this. So they would need to get permission, support, something, financial, somehow, some way. Who, like I said, who's more likely to have that? So what goes on from there? And I mean, if they're trying to be independent and then that's taken away from them because they're having to get permission, and who would that most likely be? Yeah, we might have a lot of assumptions, but I would love to see research that stated which way. More than one, of course, There needs to be more than one. Okay, so from there, then now here it is, adult women, high chances adult women, or not. Maybe it's just people who can't afford it. And who would that be? All right. So these, me included, adult women would need to be, we're just going to talk about the female women's part of it, would need to get permission. Adult women need to get permission to speak online, depending where it is. Well, I don't even know if it's depending anymore, to state their thoughts, because they possibly won't be able to, high probability maybe, we need statistics on that, to be able to afford a lawyer to tell them what they can and cannot say, which, from what I understand, okay, sorry, I had to pause it, but cut it off for a minute. So from what I understand, what you can and cannot say, and maybe possibly even do, probably do, you would need a lawyer to do that, which is the lawyer's just interpretation of, let's say a law, okay? The lawyer's interpretation of the law, which, I don't know that every lawyer in the United States would have the same opinion, same interpretation, and then it's not going to be interpreted unless you break whatever that law is that is not explained, is not interpreted, is not, until that day, whenever you have to go to court or something like that. So women would be spending a lot of money that they don't have after getting permission from whom? Yeah, what did we say? And then they are what? If they can't keep affording that, and they're not going to get permission, and they're not going to get backing, support, they're silenced. Okay, so it could lead to that. It could lead to women being silenced. Yeah, and you can say, well, that wasn't truly the intention, but what is the result? Okay, now let's look at the result. Is it going to have to go that far to see the results? Results. But, okay, in the meanwhile, those who could do, who's getting wealthy off of this? For one, perhaps lawyers. What kind of lawyer would that be? And are they mainly male or female? just a questioning. That's all. I'm just questioning. I had said in a video, I don't know which channel I put it on, or if I even made it public. I think I did on my original channel. And that was this about, it was that of, I can in a way understand why people become what some would call, and I would not call that in this situation at all, but conspiracy theorists, or they would come up with conspiracy theories. I really wouldn't call it that, because that would need, what is the word for it? Like, I don't know. That would need fact. That would need proof out there that somebody's trying to go against. But is there? We really need some scientific information. Yeah, some statistics, something concrete that you can read yourself and not have to pay for a lawyer to interpret in their way for you. That you can read, maybe you're extremely educated, was a professional career student. Oh, that's me. Who had me read postmodern speak quite a bit, and looks at it and says, that's way too vague. That is leaving way too much up for interpretation. But whose? Now, before I forget, let's move on to this part. Let's say, what kind of topic can women, grown adult women, talk about online? And I'm not saying it's on any one particular service. From what I understand, it could be any. What can they talk about and feel a little bit safer, that they don't need a lawyer to talk about? What would that be? And no, I can't say that. That would be so backwards. That would be so way far backwards. Like children, for or about children, like, my grandmother did. And wound up in an asylum. Thought of as paranoid. But anyway, yeah, you're starting to say, well, Grace, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. We all know that is not true. But that guy got kind of close there. You may have heard it. But anyway, so what is it? Maybe, maybe that's what it's going to have to happen, that they talk, let people know that it's about women, it's about children, and make sure they have all the, whatever it's going to be seen as appropriate for that, or face major fines that they can't afford in the first place because they can't even afford the lawyers. But they might be able to get away with talking about children. But if it's anything they might, try to get some income off of, it's going to be seriously less. Kind of like teachers. Who's the main people who are teachers? Not in, college and university, no. We're talking about grade school. Any kind of teacher below college, university level. Who are they? Oh, that's right, they're women. They earn, as people say, well, do we have statistics? I think so. That for that amount of education, my goodness, I should know. The amount of education that's required for it. And then having to actually teach, and actually, in some ways, it's kind of a bit like babysitting a bunch of children, and so much else involved. They're paid very little. We've all probably heard that. Yeah. So what would be the difference, right? Some would say, and I know that this is not all male, not all females, not all women who do, who would do something, to speak out or about, or anything online about children. I don't know. I think we need statistics on that. We need facts on that. Yeah, I think we do. We might have them. I just haven't found them. But yeah. Okay, but anyway, from what I understand, yeah, maybe it is that women can do that, but they're going to be paid a lot less than just recently, a lot less. Now, of course, women and men too, or many, not everybody. And unfortunately, it's not everybody. Um, their main thing is, to protect the children. It's mine. It's certainly mine to protect the children. Yeah, as much as I can. And certainly would be mine. So, yeah, what is the kind of result of that? Teachers being paid less and other women being paid less. But they're already being paid less, so what am I talking about? Yeah. Maybe they made some headway getting up to that 79% when it was always, since the 1950s, like I said, between 69 cents to 71, and where I grew up at, when I last checked it, it was 43 cents to the middle dollar. Yeah. So, I mean, is it going to make it go back down? Possibly. I hope we don't have to see that to check and, see. Hope we don't see that. Because that, to me, really, all of it, and then some. This isn't all. I could be wrong. Yeah. Or maybe I shouldn't. I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe I'm just speaking when I shouldn't be. Maybe some see it that way. I don't. Like I've said, basically, to me, this is kind of pretty much setting a scene that could result. It could. It might not. We've evolved, have we? I don't know. Where women aren't seen as just whatever male decides. Or the courts decide, maybe. That, yeah, I remember back, like I said, I was mentioning something along this line. When I was a student, one of the things that we were taught, back then they called it third world country. Now these days, then not these days, I'm not certain what they're calling it these days, but then it moved from there, when I was even teaching at college and university, sociologist, master's in sociology. I'm a social and behavioral scientist. So while I was teaching, let's see, I believe the term that was acceptable was lower income countries. Okay. But not all of them do the same, But but some of them, yeah, even to this day, women are only, I don't know how many, I know of at least one, that women are seen as only 50% that of a male. It's thought of as only half the worth of a male. I'm not talking about money. That and also they have to get permission, it could be even from any male to do certain things. It could be their son to get permission to do things, certain things, like, I don't know, I wonder if it includes to be able to say anything online. I certainly hope we're not getting there. I really do. But I'm kind of worried that we are. Unintentionally, of course. Yeah. Allegedly, not. I mean, yes. No. Which way is it? I don't know. I'm going to have to stop speaking. Huh? Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't think it'll happen to the day I die. And I hope that's not anytime soon, because I actually, dare I be an educated woman, and how dare I speak out about something like this? Some would see it that way. I don't, obviously. But really, I have to say this. I really feel for younger women. Women who, both, really. Will you oppress? One group of people is oppressing others. Okay, all others, really, the way I see it. So I really feel for, with this I'm going to point out, I feel for younger women. When you have to get permission from a man to do everything you want to do, and you're going to earn so little if you are actually allowed to do it by that man or men. I really do. I hope it doesn't become this way, but I know too many women are taught that any kind of thought like I'm having is, let's put a negative word, a word that has a negative connotation, but it actually, guess what? Yeah. guess what? They also helped not just women, and it wasn't only women, but also children, like my grandmother. Yeah, and I hope that you, if you ever feel the need to stand up and say something, that you're not put in an asylum. They just have a better word for it these days. Because you're paranoid. Or you're something. Or maybe just you speaking out, you're a woman. Oh, you're having a mood, aren't you? I hope you don't live that life. I lived part of the time, part of my 56 years, I've lived where I haven't had to feel so oppressed. But now I'm 56, the past few years especially, I'm feeling it more and more, and I'm seeing more and more happen. Unintentionally, of course. Some things can happen in ways that were not truly, like I said, truly were not intended to turn this way. Some of it was intended to turn this way. Just a sneaky little back door taken to do so. Yeah. I feel for him. This is not what I feel like, I would want to see in my life. A lot of things recently, the past few years especially. This is something I did not want to see, but I saw it. It's just worsening. Hopefully a change is coming soon for the better. Hopefully more women get their voices and can speak out. And men too. Some men it's not only women. It was never all just women. Don't let people fool you. And then there's nothing wrong with that word. Oh boy. Seriously, I hope they find their voices and they're somehow protected. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure if I'm protected by saying what I'm saying anymore. That's a shame, isn't it? 56 years old, and what am I, need a permission? You're going to infantilize me? You're going to treat me like a child, 56 years old. How are you? How old are you? Yeah. But, some people say it's all about the Benjamins. It's all about the Benjamins, and that's just business. No, that's not just business. Yeah. Anyway, gonna wrap it up. Talk to y'all in another video. Maybe, if I'm allowed to.